Anyway, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake the Fuck Up podcast. I am Uncle E, your host, and I may be charming, I may be delightful, I don't fucking know. I'm trying to figure it out. So, today's the 8th of July, and we had this thing called Independence Day a few days ago. You may have heard of it, you may have heard of it, you may not. Essentially, it's a day to remember and celebrate the Declaration of Independence and the start of the overthrow of the British overlords. The taxation without representation, a number of other issues that caused it. I mean, I could pull it up and read it, but it might take a while, and you probably don't have time. Probably don't even want to hear it. But I don't care, because whatever. Independence Day was a few days ago. Okay? And I'm sitting there looking around thinking, you know, we're not really free anymore. I mean, nothing is free. But are we free as a culture, as a society? That's a hell no. You look at all the rules and regulations, you look at all the taxes you have to pay, the nickel and diming that they do in order to maximize their extraction of your resources for their improvement. I say anytime government adds employees, we better start adding taxpayers, because government employees are more expensive than regular employees, let's be honest. They're getting good paychecks. They're getting great benefits compared to the people that they serve. Oh, yeah, great benefits. You know, health care, pensions. You know, and if they do it right, they can get 2 pensions. If they work, if they retire from one job and then go to a different job in the government, work there for another significant period of time, guess what? They get 2 pensions. Isn't that great? That means they could be earning double what they earned, or maybe even way more than they earned as a government employee. And it's one of the reasons why I get annoyed and irritated when, you hear either side, okay, Democrats especially, but either side, complaining about budget cuts. Oh my God, you're going to kill millions. And it's like, prove it. You could kill millions with these cuts. Prove it. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Prove it. Okay? Like the current hysteria with Medicaid and Medicare, and oh my God, this bill's going to destroy everything, and blah, blah, blah. And I always go, prove it. In the comments, put down the provisions where it's located on the bill that do this. Because the talking heads on your screen, they don't really tell you, do they? They don't really tell you what the provision is. They don't give you actual information. They give you a lot of scaremongering, fear-mongering, browbeating, and, they use the same script, which is, to me, great. You know, if the same lines that I heard when I was 13 and 14, when I was paying attention to politics. I think 91 was when I really started to care about politics. I've been paying attention since. There's a guy called Ross Perot. I've talked about him before, I think. And he was the only choice in between Clinton and Bush that had a lick of sense. You knew Clinton and Bush were serving their party masters and their donor masters. Perot, it's kind of the same script that Trump used, only most of us know better. He works for somebody. You may not believe it. Oh, he's rich. And it's like, yeah, there are bigger fish out there, and they can eat him alive. He also has a family. That can be used against him, too. Because you got to remember, The American government is a highly profitable enterprise for some people. It is. If you could make six figures off a government job, would you? Instead of having to go out into the private sector and make real money and do products and, actually open a business or run a business and, be responsible and accountable. Would you do that? Goddamn, how much? Let's see. Mayor Bass income. So Karen Bass, because I did a search on the Mayor Bass income, and she's making $300,000 a year. That was in 23. Okay. She works for the city of Los Angeles, and she's making $300,000 a year. How much do you make? Simple question. Because I have a real problem when government bureaucrats and elected officials are making way more money than the people they serve. Because I'll guarantee you that the average salary of Los Angelinos is nowhere near $300,000. It might be for her donor class, but it's not for the actual people that she's supposed to be serving. We know that. And when you're letting your city get destroyed or, be decimated because of bad decisions, what exactly qualifies you as being a mayor? Your gender? Your political ideologies? Your just various issues? Your job as a manager. If you can't manage a city, why the hell are you mayor? And we know she can't manage the city because she's obviously doing PR stunts and political stunts. She just had a wildfire. Most of her fire department was completely screwed. Water mains were not getting water. Various issues. And she's mayor. It's supposed to fall on her. And blame got put on Trump. Or blame got moved elsewhere. And I'm not happy with the way I see things, because I see things going to absolute dog shit. If we've got this kind of incompetent, overpaid morons running one of the biggest cities in the country, and they are just completely hosing everything from point A to point D or point Z, why is she mayor, and is it going to get any better? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Los Angelinos who are down for that count. Make it better, make it better. Well, how do we make it better? Well, I look to Portland for how do we make this better? Number one, anybody who espouses sanctuary cities needs to be voted out. Okay? Now, I know a lot of you probably support sanctuary cities. I don't, because the idea that American citizens within your city have now become second-class citizens to illegal immigrants. Would you appreciate that if that was done to you? As a person, as a citizen? Would you appreciate illegal immigrants being put in 3, 4, or 5-star hotels at taxpayer expense to house them until such time as whenever? We've got homeless vets. We've got homeless in general. We've got people who need meds, need medications to keep themselves stable so they can become normal members of society. I see it every day. Some people don't get their meds. They're off their rockers. Some people get their meds and they're just normal as can be. Everything is just, on point and on target. And if they're on point and on target, that means they can go get jobs, they can pay for housing, they can get off the streets, life gets better. If they can't, then we need housing. We need psych centers. We need asylums. We need a lot of things. Things that used to be around, but they were mean and abusive. So we destroy the asylums, cancel them, and throw them all out on the street. Everything will be fine. And then you see Socrates on the side of the road, full toga on, giving a lecture to somebody, but they're not visible. That's the need for an asylum. Somebody like that, it's a little unhinged. It might be an act. I don't know. It could be. Is it? Probably not. But how do you make it better? Well, bring back asylums. And a lot of you are like, but they're abusive. And it's like, look, I've had friends who worked in asylums, mental wards, dealing with people of special needs. And number one, they're not allowed to defend themselves. Okay. And if you've ever seen someone who's like 6'2", 6'3", 300 pounds, and they're mentally retarded, handicapped, whatever you want to fucking call it, they can be dangerous. They can rip you in half. If you're tiny, small, whatever. You're not handling that. Period. I'm sorry. I know you've been taught that you can handle anything, that that a 5 foot, 100-pound woman can kick the shit out of a 6 foot, 250 dude. It's like, no, it's not fucking happening. Okay? That's insane, and it's a delusion. But again, back to how do you make it better? Number one, bring back asylums. Get rid of the people, not get rid of, like, pop, 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 train them up, that kind of thing. Send them to the showers, right? That's what you imagine me saying, me meaning. And it's like, no. Get them into asylums so they can be taken care of, so they can have their lives regulated because they're having problems doing it for themselves, or they're a special level of special needs, an incest baby, sick people, keeping it in the family, right? That's what you're maintaining. But anyway, back to how do we make it better? Number two, get people who hate business out of government. Hate business. Hate business, okay? Not dislike, hate. And those kind of people are typically communists, socialists, probably had bad experiences with management in various jobs, which I can understand completely. But get anti-business people out of government. Main reason is you need tax revenue. You need jobs. And if you've got somebody running the show who hates business, thinks it's evil, thinks government is God and should be treated as such, it's not going to end well. I live in Oregon, man. Our government hates businesses. They want maximum extraction of resources from those businesses, from the individuals, if they're making big money, even medium money anymore. Doesn't matter that they're getting taxed to shit by lottery. Yes, lottery. Okay, lottery is a poor person tax. It's like cigarettes. Who does cigarette taxes, gas taxes affect more? Poor people, middle class people, rich people. Who does it affect more? Poor people. So if you want to tell me that the Democrats care about poor people, I will point to the fact that there are multiple avenues that we tax poor people to get the money back that we give them every year. Now look, I'm poor. I'm not broke, but I ain't finding no six figures on my paycheck anytime soon. Okay? Not making six figures. I'm a hundredaire, all right? Millionaires, billionaires, no, I'm a hundredaire. I was like, I need at least 2 quarters. to rub together. I don't have them. Yeah, I got a few. But I don't have the kind of money that people would run towards looking at me as an ATM. Not that many people. And so you need people in government who are not going to go hog wild with bureaucracy to ban things or to make things difficult or to permit things or to environmental assessment or any of the other bits of red tape that government creates. Because if you have all of that and it's defeating your ability to grow, you're going to have a bad time, especially if you like social programs. If you like social programs and you want people to pay taxes, you need businesses and government, you need businesses and income from private individuals in order to pay for all your largesse. I know it sucks. You think tax the rich, you think it's all going to make, everything go away. It's like, even if you were to tax the ultra wealthy, whatever that might mean, to somebody who has never seen anything more than 25 to 30 grand a year, anybody making more than you is ultra wealthy. They can go out for dinner, they can do things, they can buy things, blah, 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 blah. People need jobs. The environmentalists who get into government as bureaucrats and then write rules and regulations which shut down entire industries in areas. Yeah, that's a good one too. Logging is a necessary thing. We need wood. And yet, for some odd reason, the environmentalists in our state think that logging is a bad thing. It must be. It has to be. Because we're tearing down trees. And it's like, well, if we could do hemp and, we could make wood that way, that would be great. But government still has a problem with marijuana, weed, hemp, on a number of different levels, and it's kind of annoying. I wish it would get used more, but it is what it is. A few years ago, our government, our governor had a land deal up in the Siskiyou Mountains, and it was reneged on, and then she went to the federal government and asked for a bailout, like a couple $100 million kind of deal. And most of our logging industry, most of our mills are being shut down due to environmental concerns and regulations, and also and those logs that get logged get sent to wherever, foreign country, to get milled and processed, which, again, we've got plenty of people in this state who know what they're doing. They're just too expensive to do it now. It's too difficult because there's too much going on. There's too much red tape. Because, government costs money. It costs money, okay? And that's the reason why you need a tax. You need tax income, because somebody's got to pay for this crap that you want to do with government, with fat benefits and fat pensions and fat retirements and all sorts of fun. So you need tax revenue. So you need friendly business environments. And if you don't have a friendly business environment and you want to tax the shit out of every business that comes into your state, your city, your county, they're not going to want to come. They're going to want to stick around if they're, indigenous to the area. They've lived there a long time. They've lived there in their entire lives, and they want to be there. Number 3, how to make it better. Cut back on the bureaucracy. You know how Doge went through the government and started making end runs around a lot of these bureaucrats, and they went apeshit, got pissy, and yap, 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 whine, whine, whine. And they ended up getting like $8 billion, back. And a lot of those cuts actually did get put into a bill. But then, of course, you're not allowed to cut certain things, or, you have the hysteria of the cuts that were supposedly made. Again, post the language from the bill. Post the location of the language in the bill. So that way we can read it for ourselves instead of hearing the talking heads going berserk. Because they're not news outlets. They're propaganda outlets. They're op-ed outlets. They're not actual fucking news. News is about getting to the point. Facts only. That's it. Government costs us billions. This state, I looked it up last night, $48 billion in the hole. We're never paying that back. So we're debt slaves to an incompetent bunch of morons running this state. Yay. Number 4, how do we make it better? Go through all the rules and regulations, start eliminating stuff we don't need, and that to me is real simple. You know, we have high schools in this state that need a formative education in the operation and management of government and the laws, rules, and regulations thereof. And I think it would behoove everybody if the high schools and junior highs, instead of teaching history that might overlap some of the things you've taught in the past, get them involved in government. Show them, teach them, give them an opportunity to streamline things. Go through the laws, the rules, regulations, start line item cutting, start line item crossing out, and then send it back every month to the voting body to get rid of most of the rules and regulations, because red tape costs money. Time is money, especially when you're trying to make some. Number 5, stop making divorce so easy. This one's probably going to piss a few of you off. Stop making divorce so easy. These are the 5 ways you're going to make it. Because if you can just go to get a divorce on a whim, okay, what's the point of getting married? If the other person can just walk out willy-nilly, no counseling, no working it out, you're never going to have a stable home for kids to be raised in. They can't achieve greatness if they're constantly confused or emotionally distraught because mommy and daddy, or mummy and mummy, or daddy and daddy, because it works all 3 ways, are using each other as emotional and psychological tampons. It doesn't do well for the kid. I mean, it might do well for you, the drama queen, or drama king, but it's not going to do well for the kid. The kid needs a safe, secure, semi-comfortable environment with some toughness, some stuff to make their lives better. They have to have difficulty to grow and challenges to grow, but they also should not be having ridiculous nonsense going on in the home that causes them to lose their studies, lose their sleep, and lose their food. Those are the 5 ways. You want to bring independence back to this country and bring some actual common sense. Those 5 things are going to help you. And that's it. You know. Take it for what it is. Leave your comments down below. I want to hear them. You know, but until next time, peace out. Happy life. Get laid once in a while, too, would you please? God, I could use one myself.